back to another Couch Potato General Manager video. Historically, we've called it the Versus Series. We're going to call this the 2022 NFL Draft Prospect Matchup, in which we're pitting the departures in CPGM Headley and CPGM Drew's respective top 5 rankings at each position. And we're going to start today with Drake London, who is Headley's second-ranked receiver, versus Drew's Jahan Dotson, who is actually his fourth-ranked receiver. Drew doesn't have London in his top 5, and Headley doesn't have Dotson in his top 5. Drew has Treylon Burks first among the receivers, and Headley has Garrett Wilson. I, too, have Garrett Wilson first overall. I've been in that camp since the beginning of the 2021 season. Just wanted to interject that. As a matter of fact, I have Drake London number 2. I like Drake London quite a bit as well. But Drew has a different mindset with respect to it. So let's get into it, gents. I'm going to give each one of you an opportunity to make your case for your player, and then to talk about the difference, why you don't have Dotson or London in your top 5, and then give you guys the opportunity to melee. All right? So, Headley, get us started, man. Why are you in favor of Drake London?
When I first saw Drake London, you see the size, you see the sticker on the helmet, you think, oh, another long USC receiver. I know what that is, man, because a lot of them come out of USC, same size, same build, and just don't cut it at the next level. But when I watched Drake London, I was impressed by his physicality after the catch. Some people don't think he's a great route runner or separator. He doesn't really separate that much, but what I could appreciate about London is everything looks the same. Whichever route he's running, he comes out of his breaks the same, and you just never know what he's going to do, and he gets that extra step on you. I'm always infatuated with the guys that could win above the rim, play on the outside, and play physical. So, that's why, a couple of reasons why I like Drake London. He kind of looks like Mike Evans to me. When Mike Evans came out of Texas A&M, he wasn't this great route runner separator either, but he worked on his craft and he got better as a route runner. And 8 1,000-yard seasons later, man, Mike Evans is still doing it in the league at a high level.
And one of the big differences between London and Evans is what London is capable after the catch. Evans doesn't quite give you. I think Evans probably does a better job of stacking on a consistent basis. That's something that he's continuously improved. But in terms of what they do with the ball in their hands after the catch, I give the edge to London there. So Drew, now that we've heard Headley's take on Drake London, why Drake London is in his top 5, let's hear why you have Dotson in your top 5.
Just watching the tape, man, he's explosive. He's more, I think he's more quick than he is fast, but he's still fast. He has the ability to go up and get the football. He's smart within his routes. He will bait cornerback, safeties, and linebackers. I think we might be talking about him a little bit more, just a little bit more, if he had a better quarterback. We might be talking about Jahan Dotson in most people's top 5s, because I don't know that he is, because I know that his size is an issue. I know that he can struggle against bigger, stronger corners. But and again, I think both of these players, by the way, are slot players. Although I have a feeling that Dotson can play on the outside, man. There's something about him, man. Is that quickness, that shiftiness, the speed, and he's not scared to go get the football, man. You know what I'm saying? He will attack the football. He's not worried about getting hit. And as far as I know, the injury, I'm not aware of any major injuries that he's taken. So although London, take my shots, he's injured, and what's going on there, and we don't know what that speed is with him. So. But with Dotson, we do know what he is, man.
You brought up an interesting point, Drew, but before you guys get into perhaps attacking each other's respective prospects, the notion of playing outside the numbers, how much stock do each of you put into that these days? The game has changed so much. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when you have teams who are using short motion and bunch sets, and, a guy like Devontae Adams who can play on the outside. He has the ability to play on the outside because he's such a professional route runner. He lined up more than half of his snaps inside the slot. You understand what I'm saying? I think teams do themselves a disservice when they do not put perhaps their receiver 1 in the slot as frequently as they possibly can. I think it's easier to defend players, even though they have the ability to play on outside on the boundary. It's easier to defend them because, of course, you have the sideline, right? So what are your thoughts about that in terms of your evaluation of players? You put any stock in, okay, this guy is relegated to the slot or perhaps better suited for the slot, but he does demonstrate the ability to play outside the numbers. How much stock are you putting into that?
Yeah, like you said, with today's NFL, it's best to, move your receivers all over the place. A perfect example is DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, how Kingsbury uses him You would like to see him move around more, get in the slot, play X, Z, Y, all the receiver positions. But he just leaves him outside the left wide receiver out there. And I'm not sure if they do that to make it easier on Kyler Murray. I'm not really sure the thought process, but you need a receiver to play all different positions all over the football field. So it's not that I just want a guy to play outside. I just want a guy to have the versatility to play inside and outside. And I think London possesses that more than Dotson. I think Dotson is, he plays bigger than his size. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Elijah Moore, but at the same time, the size weight combination, teams might just relegate him inside. It's unfair to Dotson, but that's probably how teams are going to want to play him. Also, the off-target throws, man. Sometimes Dotson, I think a quarterback will have to get it right to him. I think London, how he climbs the ladder, how he adjusts the footballs, he has a basketball background. I think he can adjust the throws better than Dotson. And against physical press coverage, not a lot of times people play zone. There's some teams in the NFL like the Saints, the Patriots. They're going to get up in your face. They're going to put hands on you, and you need to have that physicality to go along with it on the outside or the inside to separate from coverage and to win those one-on-one matchups.
To answer your first question, I think there you have to take into account when you're looking at these players in terms of, can they only play in the slot? One of the top guys coming out, a lot of people are saying, he can only play in the slot. I don't believe that, but because of his size and because of his softness, as some people like to say, in Chris Olave, they're saying, hey, he can only play in the slot because anytime contact came around him, he was ready to hit the dirt. You know what I mean? Or it slowed his route up. So I think that it's got to be a factor in when you're ranking your receivers, when you're looking at the receivers. It is for me at least. And it's, I'm going to take the guy who can do it all versus the guy who can only play in the slot. Now, when we're doing mock drafts and team fits and things, that may change things because I might take a guy that can dominate in the slot over a guy who can do it all because he's so good in the slot. So I think it's a factor. How much is his weight? It's not heavy, but it's definitely a factor. It's a rebuttal back on Drake London. One thing that concerns me with him is obviously you said it earlier, Headley, where he doesn't really get any separation. And I thought to myself, do you really need separation? Can every catch that you make, can it be contested? How strong are you at doing that, right? And in college, corners don't challenge you. They don't. It's either because of the defensive coordinator said, hey, this is my scheme and this is what we're doing, or they don't believe that cornerback, that slot nickel can jam that receiver, or just doesn't want to take the chance to miss. And then now we got a guy running wide open because the defense is now exposed because of that, right? London, I just wonder if he can compete like that. What happens when he no longer can do what he does, which is make a bunch of contested catches? I love the catch radius, but there's corners out there big like him too. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think he got challenged enough, and we don't know what that looks like. At the end of the day, we really don't know what that looks like. I know what it looks like with Dotson, and I know we can fix that. Give him a little bit bigger, give him a little bit stronger, give him some techniques that he can work with. But in terms of London, I don't know, because you're that big, you're a big target. But you know what I mean?
Things you can't teach size,
I got you.
It's there or not. What London can improve on is get more separation at the next level. I think Mike Evans, Julio Jones was like that coming out, where he got better as a route runner. And I like London. People that knock him about his route running, I see him as a good route runner because, like I said, everything looks the same.
It does.
He break from his stems.
Yeah.
He comes back to the football, uses his big body. He adjusts to passes. So, I like him as a route runner.
But one of the things that I think we've all learned over the years in terms of evaluating prospects is to not assume that they can't do certain things. We ideally, we'd like to see it at the collegiate level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That gives us a better basis in terms of form our evaluation. But generally speaking, as it pertains to a guy playing in the slot versus on the boundary, you know what I'm saying, or being able to do so successfully, if the college coaches aren't about preparing you for the NFL, about making you play the X, the Z, and the Y, you understand what I'm saying? They're going to do whatever they think is best for them, right, in order to get wins. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be. It's a cautionary tale. Doesn't mean that guys can do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't do it if they weren't asked to do it, right? That's right. One thing. And then with both of these players, we talk about their athletic profiles quite a bit. what I take solace in for both of them is the fact that we've seen guys who look like them have success. You understand what I'm saying? There's more than one way to skin a cat at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Now, each team, each scouting department, each front office is going to have their archetype, the type of player that they want from a measurable standpoint, right? In terms of their speed, in terms of their agility, in terms of the height weight combination in relation to that. You know what I mean? So where Drake London might be higher on certain teams' boards, he may be lower. The same thing for Dotson. You know what I'm saying? With concerns in terms of his speed, his age, whatever the case may be. So it's one of those things that it's kind of pick your flavor at the end of the day, and that's exactly what happens in terms of your rankings. So great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we really want to hear your thoughts in terms of which of these prospects you prefer. All right. For Headley, Drew, this is Juice signing off.